Jerome Groopman, professor at Harvard Medical School and chief of experimental medicine at Beth Israel Hospital, is also a deeply committed Jew who says the misheberach for healing for each of his patients. In one of his books, The Anatomy of Hope, he writes about Barbra, a 57-year-old woman, retired history teacher, who 3 years earlier was diagnosed with breast cancer. After surgery and chemotherapy, eventually the cancer was found to be growing in her liver and bones. Dr. Groopman says to Barbra, "It's important to understand that there is no cure once the cancer has metastasized. Treatment is now palliative." "I know," Barbra says. Her expression remains calm. Over the following months of treatment, Dr. Groopman marvels at Barbra's poise and calm. He writes, "She showed no fear or anxiety." He asks, "Could someone really transcend the fear of death?" Months later, when Barbra's remission came to an end and the tumor resisted any form of treatment he tried, Dr. Groopman comes to tell her that he has no more drugs to offer her. He writes, "Barbra greeted me warmly, as she always did. I moved a chair closer to her bedside and grasped her hand. After we chatted for a short time, I began to break the bad news. Barbra, we've known each other for well over a year now, and we've always been honest with one another, every step of the way." Briefly, her lips began to tremble. Then she regained her composure. Her eyes told me she knew what I was about to say. "I know of no medicine that I can give you at this point to help you." We sat in heavy silence. Then Barbra shook her head. "No, Jerry," she said. "You do have something to give me. You have the medicine of friendship." The last time Dr. Groopman visits Barbra, he notices her eyes are sunken and her skin is pale. It would not be long, he thought. I knew how much I would miss her. "Are you afraid?" I asked. "No, not really," Barbra said. "Not as much as I thought I'd be." I moved my chair closer to hers. "Why do you think that is?" I asked. "I'm not entirely sure. I have strange, comforting thoughts. When fear starts to creep up on me, I conjure the idea that millions and millions of people have passed away before me, and millions more will pass away after I do. Then I think, each of my parents has died. If they could do it, so can I. As Ecclesiastes said, everything has its season, a time to be born and a time to die." And, Barbra continued, "I do believe in a hereafter, that we can return to God somehow. What form that takes, no one can say. It's not like I'm expecting to get on the up escalator and be delivered to paradise, or find angels there playing harps. I was never one for airy music." Then Barbra's tone turned grave. She said, "Of course I also have my doubts. Everyone who believes has doubts, if they are honest with themselves. I suppose it could all be an illusion. But deep inside, it doesn't feel that way. Not at all." A prayer. To my right, Michael. To my left, Gavriel. In front of me, Uriel. Behind me, Raphael. And above me, the Shekhinah, the presence of God. Like waving the lulav and etrog in all directions, we demonstrate with this prayer that God is everywhere. These words can be said not only during the festival of Sukkot, but every night of every day, before reciting the bedtime Shema. When we close our eyes and allow ourselves to slip into the vulnerable state of sleep, we call upon divine protection. The sages of the Talmud refer to sleep as 1/60th of death. When we allow ourselves each night to drift out of full consciousness, We trust that Shomer Yisrael, the guardian, the protector of Israel, will stand watch over us as we sleep. Just to close our eyes is an act of faith. We trust that we will wake up again in the morning. On Shemini Atzeret, we pray, Mashiv HaRuach Umorid HaGashem. We pray that the winds will return. According to rabbinic literature, the four winds which return from the four corners of the earth are associated with four angels, Michael, Gabriel, Uriel, and Raphael. As the Holy One, blessed be God, has created four winds, that is, the four directions, and four banners of Israel's ancient army, so too has God created four angels to surround the throne of glory. Michael is on the right, corresponding to the tribe of Reuven. Uriel is on the left, corresponding to the tribe of Dan, stationed to the north. Gabriel goes in front, corresponding with the tribe of Judah, as well as Moses and Aaron, who were stationed to the east. And Raphael is positioned behind, corresponding to the tribe of Ephraim, stationed to the west. It may surprise you to hear about angels here, of all places. You probably know these characters best from how they are depicted in Christian art. But the Hebrew Bible is full of references to angels, the ones who visited Abraham and Sarah and brought news of the child that would be born to them, the one who cried out just in the nick of time before Abraham's knife fell against that son Isaac, the one who wrestled with Jacob all through the night by the banks of the river Yabok. These malachim, these divine messengers, go nameless until the concluding books of the Hebrew Bible. This led our sages to assert that naming the angels, that's something that we picked up while we were in Babylonian exile. Also, for clarity, I should mention that in Judaism, angels are not considered to be the souls of human beings after they have died. They are like human beings created by God. Unlike human beings, angels have no free will, according to the sages. They carry out God's assignments with perfection. While we are also called upon to serve God through mitzvot, we have been given the gift of free will, and so we succeed and we fail. We create and we destroy. We change for the better and we change for the worse. Angels are static. They do not change. They are not capable of learning or growing. They are heavenly robots who do not choose their mission nor their purpose. They are assigned. They have no children and they never die. Over the centuries, it seems angels come in and out of Jewish fashion. Different Jewish expressions of Kabbalah throughout the centuries emphasize the role of angels in heaven and here on earth. Jewish folklore throughout the lands and throughout the ages make much of these angelic characters. Maimonides of the 12th century taught that angels are intelligences. When it is written that an angel appeared to Abraham, for example, we should understand that a new insight came to Abraham suddenly. As a rationalist, a philosopher, and physician, Maimonides embraced the idea of angels as moments of discovery, intellectual awakening, an aha moment. Still God-sent, but not otherworldly. Surely each of us has had experiences like that, sometimes from books or teachers, when suddenly there is a revelation and understanding where before there was none. Or sometimes we experience that aha moment as clarity that comes from within, when all at once we know what we are to do, or we know what we are not to do. This direction, this guidance we might first attribute to insight from within, from our own conscience. We might attribute it to that internal compass. These are also God-given. Is it such a stretch to say, poetically speaking, that these flashes of intellectual clarity, these moments of moral clarity, these occasions of decision and commitment to one path or another are angels guiding us this way or that? Could it be that God, Mashiv HaRuach, sends the four winds to give direction to our lives? Sometimes in the form of a gentle, encouraging breeze, sometimes a gusty, tumultuous wind. We happen to be living in a time and a place which takes a very concrete approach to understanding the world. Science dominates, and science is portrayed in opposition to art, even though most scientists will describe their work as art to be interpreted. General society today is not particularly skilled in creating nuanced interpretations. And so science, too, is put in a crass opposition to religion for no good reason. Most religionists are fascinated by science, and most scientists are fascinated with matters of the spirit, with awe and with wonder. The general trend today is to favor blunt matters of fact that can be measured and put on charts and graphs over matters of the spirit, which are harder to measure. Less exacting, more expansive truths we must also seek. That is why we have come today. If we are willing to go there for a while, then we might consider additional insights that come to stir us, like those returning winds. Let's challenge one another to go there, if only for a moment. A meditation on angels. Let's enter the world of metaphor and God's grace. To my right, Michael. To my left, Gabriel. In front of me, Uriel. Behind me, Raphael. And above me, the Shekhinah, the presence of God. Michael's very name is a question. It means, who is like God? Imagine holding a question in your right hand. What questions do we carry with us as we walk through this world? What burning questions? That is Michael. Gabriel, the name means God is the source of my strength and my courage. Imagine a pillar of strength always at your left, immediately there. It's the rock we lean against when we feel tired or weary, when we lose our footing or feel ourselves off balance. We reach for Gabriel for stability and reassurance. Gabriel gives us a place to rest so we can muster our strength and our courage once again and carry on through this world. Where do we find such strength? Who are the people we lean upon? Where are those beautiful places we go to again and again to restore ourselves? That is Gabriel. Uriel. The name means God is my light. Imagine a torch, a flashlight, a sun or a star, large or small, some source of light that is constantly before you. It has a warm glow and a seductive kind of light that draws us forward, always forward. This is the light of curiosity, of adventure and discovery. This is the light of learning and the lamp of Torah. It opens our eyes, opens our minds, opens our hearts, so that the path extends before us, expands and widens always before us. Which teachers or people of insight illuminate the world for us? Which books do we return to again and again to brighten our way? Who are the inspirational figures who lead us to advance our lives, to advance our pursuits? This is Uriel. Raphael. The name means God is the source of my healing. Behind us. We cannot see what is behind us, even what is immediately behind us. We cannot see it. What danger might be lurking there? What shadow might be following us? What evil is lying in wait? What demons haunt us? What physical threat could be looming in ways we cannot predict or detect? Cancer cells below the surface, sleeper terrorist cells below the surface, random gun violence, Ebola. If we are constantly looking back in fear of what could be behind us, we can never advance. And so we imagine Raphael is with us, stationed at our back, a wall of protection. Because more often than not, we are safe and we can live a life intact. More often than not, we have the ability to eat and move and communicate. More often than not, our very breath is a miracle. The Ruach returning within us, sustaining our bodies. This is Raphael's primary assignment. Who are those most trustworthy friends and relatives? Who is the team of professionals, doctors and nurses, therapists and rabbis who have your well-being in mind? Who are your faithful sources of healing? These are Raphael. And while I mention that it is the dominant view that angels have nothing to do with the souls of the dead, on this day, we do call upon the souls of our beloved in many of the same ways that we call upon those 4 archangels in poetry and folklore and prayer. We invoke the memories of our loved ones and we draw them all around us. They are Michael. The questions we ask now without them in our lives. Why? How? When? The ones we miss and do not forget are like Gabriel, still a source of strength for us. When we are weary, we still lean upon them. Even in death, our loved ones still help to see us through. Our parents and teachers who went before us, these we might consider to be Uriel, a source of light and instruction even now. We hear their expressions, we carry their voices in our minds, guiding us this way or that, illuminating the path before us still. And the ones who earned our trust, they still hold our trust, even when they are no longer among the living. They are Raphael. They are ever loyal to us. And we sometimes feel their watchful eye over us. Sometimes we still feel their loving protection. I believe this is no fantasy. This is prayer and poetry, which are as real as we make them. And I believe this is not hocus pocus. This is faith and this is memory, which are as powerful as we make them. Like the scientists who measure and track the weather patterns and the velocity of the coming winds and the temperatures that those winds carry in with them, only we can predict the patterns of these 4 directional winds. Each unique mourner can measure and monitor the impact of the souls of our loved ones who return from time to time. Each one of us senses the temperature rise and fall as we remember these returning spirits, these once life companions of pleasure and pain. Now is the time to remember them with Yizkor. Let us invite the presence of the souls of our beloved today in this sanctuary and at this sacred hour. Let us gather them all around us. Let them loom so large now that we feel their embrace on all sides. Let them hold us again. Let them cradle us again. Let them rock us like the 4 winds returning now at this season. To our right, Michael. To our left, Gabriel. In front of us, Uriel. Behind us, Raphael. And above us all, above the living and above the souls of our dead, is the Shekhinah, God's all-enveloping presence.